Hello, welcome to Calling America, where patriots from across the U.S. come together to discuss current bills being passed by Congress and executive orders being signed by former Vice President Joe Biden, and furthermore, how those bills and executive orders affect each of us in our respective states. As always, unless we are quoting direct sources, all statements in this video are personal opinions. You can find all sources in the description below.
So something else that really stood out to me was the fact that in HR-1, they call for the National Commission to Protect U.S. Democratic Institutions. And this has been a pet peeve of mine for years on end. We are a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy.
Yep.
If you read the founding fathers' papers and their writings, they were vehemently opposed to democracy because democracy ultimately leads to mob rule. And we're seeing that right now with what happened with the Derek Chauvin trial. Did you guys hear about this story, actually? Going off your point about critical race theory, one of the big maxims is to actually get people to think of themselves based solely on their group. One of the jurors was attending Black Lives Matter rallies. And so he could not say that he was a neutral party, which is one of the prerequisites in order to be a juror. There's just so much. We are a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. Therefore, voting should be stringent. People need to show identification. They need to show that they're Americans. It is not just something that anyone and everyone can or should do.
Mm-hmm. I also want to say they've been calling it the We the People Act. And I think that that's a very important thing to acknowledge, because that is a strategy that they use for a lot of things. They're always making it compassionate. This is about, we're being
empathy,
kind and empathic and compassionate, and we care about the people. And I don't see how this helps people at all, because really it's taking away, it's disempowering. It's not empowering anybody. And it is, forget the fact that it's a complete violation of the Constitution. That's just, right off the bat, I think we all here agree on that. But even if we were to examine the Constitution and, question whether or not there should be some sort of a change in, the original context, and should there be an amendment, and is this something that we even want to examine? There's nothing compassionate about this. And to say it's a we the people, it's not a we the people. It further centralizes as opposed to decentralizing and empowering the states, empowering the local governments, which is, our government is so unique in that a lot of people talk about our government as either, democracy, which it's not, it's a republic, it's a constitutional republic, or a lot of people on the right actually, I think, overstress the importance of the individual. And, it's not that either, because it really is the checks and balances. That's what makes our structure and our Constitution so unique. And so when you say that you're going to now empower the federal government to have more control over local voting policies within the states and local, then you're taking away the power from the people. So it's an absolute lie to call it the We the People bill. But that's the tool that they tend to use. And most of the time, whatever they say, like critical race theory is one of the most racist theories possible. The We the People bill is the antithesis of We the People. It is We the Government bill. So I think a lot of times they present these things, and you really need to examine what is it that they're saying and not just look at what they're calling it. Mm-hmm. I go back to the League of the Just. I always go back, it's 200 years ago, and they do this. It's like, just who's going to say they want an unjust league, right? But what are they actually promoting? What are they promulgating? Black Lives Matter. Nobody argues that Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter also. And what is Black Lives Matter actually doing? So I think people get caught up in the names and the titles, and that's something that I think is really important for all Americans to look at, not just what does this sound like? Does this sound like a good thing? But what is actually in it? And if you have the bandwidth and the wherewithal, go ahead and actually read the 600 pages. Or in the case of like the stimulus bill, the what was it, 5,000.